regardless of what your interests are, hobbies are, passions are, regardless of where you're at, what job you're working right now, you can start right now and build a business and a lifestyle and a career out of creating content around the things that you love. And there's never ever been a time like there is right now in society, in technology, where that has been more of a realistic option than now.
All right, welcome back to the 9th ever episode of the Wall Street Stonks podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing.
Awesome.
I'm excited for this.
Super excited to have you. Super excited to dive into this conversation. If people don't already know who you are, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is JT Barnett. The way that I would describe myself is an entrepreneur, but specifically in the world of content. I think actually content entrepreneur is kind of like the way that I would look at it mainly. I do TikTok. I also have an agency where we work with small to medium sized brands, typically startups in the e-commerce or CPG world, about how to crush it on TikTok as well. So back in the day, I started a TikTok house, which I'm sure we'll get into. That has now kind of parlayed into me working specifically with these brands, some brands you guys might know of, on how to do TikTok organically. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. What made you even want to start any of this?
I have always been, so if we're like really rewinding, my actual previous career was I was a professional hockey player, and I did that for 5 years. I retired in 2017. And like, even before and through all of that, I was always just really into creative works. Like, I grew up, my dad put me in piano, then guitar, music lessons, different types of like art stuff. I was drawing. So I was just like really into creative stuff. I think it balanced out that like athlete in me. And then I was born in 1992. So like, as I was growing up, all of the kind of like internet was just starting to develop, 2000 and that kind of shit. And so when it was starting to develop, I got really into first, I think like first was like Neopets and like doing that with my brothers and sisters. But then it was like MySpace was like the real thing for me that kind of clicked. And I fell in love with creating MySpaces for people and like building out my MySpace. I legitimately probably spent 5 hours a day just like sitting on MySpace, decking it out, adding different, creating, doing, this is how it what taught me HTML code, like building out MySpace and stuff like that. So MySpace was the origin. Then Facebook obviously came after that, and I loved Facebook. And so that was kind of my like origin of social media. And then, like I said, balancing out my athletics was the creative stuff. So I was making with friends, I was making videos and like doing different art stuff, designing clothes. And so I think that like that kind of synergy of creative plus social was like ingrained in me all throughout playing sports. And then when I was getting closer to retiring from sports, once I realized that I wasn't going to crack the NHL and that wasn't like my destiny, it was like, all right, what do I want to do? And I was always still super interested in this like interconnection between social and creative. And so my girlfriend at the time, who's now my fiance, was doing it as a career. She was like posting fitness, health, and wellness. And I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what I want to do when I retire. And so as soon as I retired, I dove headfirst into content, and that became my new career.
That's awesome. So something that I've noticed separates you with other content creators, for example, a content creator will go through a similar journey you did, right? And they love social media, they love the space, and they have a passion, and then they start creating content around that passion. You are creating content around content, and it looks like you are educating people on content creation, and you're focusing on your agency. How did you get to that? How did you decide that's what you want to make content about instead of NHL, for example?
That's actually like a fascinating observation by you, because that is super intentional of me. Because the one problem that I've always had as a content creator is I could never just stick to one thing. So I was into, if you scroll down my timeline, I went from hockey to immediately after hockey posting training videos then posting more holistic kind of wellness stuff, then getting into lightly into like even like product reviews and food reviews, and because those were the brands that we were working with in health and wellness, and then starting to talk about business and then TikTok. So I've kind of like spanned all over the place. And the reason was I would do fitness content. I would start working with brands. I would start building a little bit, but then I'd be like, I am also an artist. Like I can't not talk about this art shit. And so the two, then posting multiple things on my same profile would be kind of like, they would clash and they wouldn't appeal to the same audience. And so the engagement would dip a little bit. So I wouldn't beat myself up about it, but I would be like, shit, like I'm into multiple different things. What do I do? And then when I started doing TikTok, and after I finished the TikTok house and I started working with brands, I realized how passionate I was about working with these brands, because it really gave me that satisfaction of variety, of always being able to have new kind of like, it's a new brand, a new niche, a new idea that like fuels that part of me that wants that to be changing continually. So me being able to talk about how each different type of thing can work, that being my thing, has now given me that access to like be talking about new varieties within it being my thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's a way for me to kind of hack that system of like, now I can be talking about the one thing, but the one thing that I'm talking about is multiple different things.
That's awesome. So you're not stuck within a specific niche, or at least your niche is wide enough to be able to talk about anything you want to talk about.
Yep. And I think like for some people, dude, like my fiance is a perfect example. Like she has no interest in expanding into different topics. She's like, I'm fitness, I'm health, I'm wellness. That's my thing. And I don't care about talking about business, talking about entrepreneurship at all. And so I think for the people that are that way, that are like happy with it just being like that, that's amazing. Like go as far as you can with that. And I think the other people that are like, I like doing more things, that are like myself, it's like it's hard for you not to like scratch that itch and do it. And I think you're doing a disservice if you don't try to find a way to incorporate the other things that you love.
That's awesome. I resonate with that a lot, actually. When just story time. When I graduated college, I studied strategic and corporate communication, and I took that into, I wanted to get into marketing. When I was growing up, I was that weird kid who would watch commercials on TV. I was fascinated by the ability to storytell within 30 seconds on TV. And I wanted to get into marketing. I wanted to get into advertising. So I first of all made my own marketing consulting company, because I wanted to get into that field ASAP, and none of my friends were getting jobs at the time. So I made my own job. And then I started getting clients, and I started making advertisements for them. And something that really clicked for me was the fact that every single day is so different, because I'm not focused on one customer, one product, one thing. I might get an iPhone case company who wants an ad, and I'll make iPhone cases, and I'm obsessed with this industry today. And then tomorrow, a glasses company will come out to me and they want to make an advertisement. So now I'm obsessed with that. And that ability to bounce around, and just my niche was marketing. I was specialized in marketing, but I could touch all these other industries and genres 100%. Of things. And that's what kept it fun. That's what kept me on my toes. So I really resonate with what you're doing on your TikTok. I think it's awesome. And on your point too, for example, your fiance now, she's focusing on health and wellness and fitness. It could be weird if she starts talking about business and a bunch of other things that aren't within her niche, unless she potentially had a separate channel that talks about these things to help motivate other people to start their own journey on that.
Or she would have to preface it in a way of like, hey guys, this is something I'm now newly interested in and want to start bringing into this channel. And that's just like, it's up to the audience if they receive it or not. But I completely agree.
Yeah. That's like if a car company just completely shifted and wanted to start building buildings or something. Yeah. You know? So
which I don't think is bad. I don't think it's a bad play to. And I think if you are in that place, and all of a sudden, like if you're somebody that has been single dimensional, you're doing the one thing and you're crushing it at it. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm no longer as interested in this and want to incorporate other things. you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't do that, even though the views or the pay or whatever might go down, because your personal, if you know that at your core, in your heart, you're like, oh, I want to be doing more than just this. You're doing yourself a disservice not doing that. And people are going to be able to tell in your content, in the quality of it, if you're not feeling like you're as passionate about it because you're not doing these other things. So you might as well go through that kind of like lull of like, all right, I'm going to incorporate this other subject, start talking about this. The people probably won't fuck with it at the beginning, but like, I know that I really love it. And it's like something that I want to do for a long time. So I'm going to incorporate it, and then people will end up liking it. It's just what you got to go through to get there.
Yeah, exactly. If you were to give a couple pieces of advice to somebody who's first starting and trying to figure out their niche, what do you think it would be?
Write down a list of things that you talk about on your data. Talk about, research, spend time thinking about in your day to day that you just like that you enjoy, that like fire you up a little bit. Write down a list of those things, and then what you feel like you're most natural speaking about or creating about, whether that's speaking or like creating images, whatever. Start creating about it. So if that's like, if you just feel like you're gravitating towards finance and you're talking about that a lot with your friends and stuff, then I would sit down and be like, all right, how can I turn some of these ideas or thoughts or conversations that we're having into something that lives on one of these platforms? Whatever platform you feel the most natural to, I would go to that one first. If it's like you feel like you write a lot, maybe Twitter is the one for you to start on. If you feel like you're somebody that loves being in front of the camera or could be in front of the camera, maybe you do jump on something like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. If you're just starting out, I would say just start creating in any capacity and just like see how it feels for you and feel it out, and just like throw things at the wall. Try something for a week. If you don't like it, try something else. If you don't like it, try something else until you feel like, I kind of feel pulled towards that one and didn't mind it. That's where I would start.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you brought up where you're comfortable. So I see a lot of people trying to force themselves into a growing and successful platform when potentially they're not suited to get in front of the camera and make a TikTok video. Maybe they're better suited writing on Twitter, for example.
And maybe they will be good eventually, because I think that the first thing that you really want is you want to just get confidence in the fact that you're like putting yourself out there. So like that's the first thing, is just the confidence in the fact that you're doing it. When you get that reciprocation from an audience being like, we like what you're doing, then you're like, confidence just skyrockets. So if you so it's easiest to pick the platform that you feel most naturally gravitated towards or comfortable with, to be like, all right, I'm going to start on Twitter and I'm going to tweet and go hard at it for a week or 2 weeks or a month or however long you feel like you're able to go hard for. And once you get that admiration back, people start fucking with your stuff. They're like, we like this a lot. Then you're like, all right, cool. I like this. Now maybe I do feel a little bit more comfortable to go on a TikTok and speak into a camera about it. It just takes, especially if you're just starting, you don't want to just be like, I'm going to go onto every platform and do all of them at the same time and go really hard on all of them, because you end up watering it down and you end up getting burned out.
100%. When I first started, I think I made my Instagram first, and I'm like, I'm going to try to grow this Instagram and really blow up this brand. Wall Street Stonks at wallstreetstonks.com was available. I'm like, hell yeah, that's an awesome name. I'm going to start selling merch and all this stuff. I didn't have a brand before that. And I made my Instagram and I started posting, and I started regularly posting every single day. And I really felt like that growth was so slow, and it was really discouraging. I'm like, man, this stuff is hard. I have to keep posting, keep making images and keep posting and posting and posting. And then when I made that transition over to TikTok, I was naturally comfortable on TikTok. I had the ability to translate complex subjects into very easily digestible videos and information and get it out there quick and keep it entertaining and shareable and fun. And the TikTok got received very well. So it started to blow up. I think my third or fourth video got like 200,000, 500,000 views. I was super excited. You get that dopamine rush and you're just like, all right, let's keep going. And then you keep making videos, and then all of a sudden it starts dipping back down. And then you're like, oh shit, I got to keep making videos. And then you keep making. And then you just keep growing. And then by that point, I completely forgot about my Instagram because I'm hyper focused on this TikTok that's growing. And now it's to the point where my TikTok is is just, it's doing what it's doing. I'll occasionally post there, and then it'll either hit or miss. It's super inconsistent.
Yep.
Now I'm at the point in the brand where I'm thinking about, okay, now maybe I should start balancing this brand and start investing some time into Twitter, into Instagram, just establishing a solid foundation. Because right now I'm all the way on TikTok, growing the YouTube a little bit. And how do you grow on Instagram? I feel like that's slowed down so much.
Yeah, I feel like, so just on that same note, like I really do think it is important once you get to the place where you are solidified on one platform to start to diversify.
Mm-hmm.
So once you do feel, it's the problem that a lot of people are having with Instagram right now is they've built all of their audience on Instagram. They have no audience anywhere else, and Instagram is starting to decline. And so they're like, shoot, what do I do now? And then they're in a frenzy trying to go on places like TikTok and Twitter and all those. So I do think that it is important to have that in mind. But when you're starting out, that's not the priority for you. The priority is to go hard into one and solidify yourself into one. So answering your second question, to grow on Instagram, I think it's different for everybody. I think that Instagram is a platform that, one, I really, in my opinion, feel that it is losing its cultural relevancy. And I say that lightly because I don't think that it's losing the place in society. I think that's the first place where everybody goes when you go, hey, where can I find you? You go, my name is blank on Instagram. You know, you're not saying necessarily TikTok to people. You're not saying YouTube to people. You're saying Instagram still. So it still is and will be what I look at as like the modern day business card. So it's something that you want to have, a business card or a website. It's like something that you want to have. It's like your landing page where people will go, they'll want to know about you. They'll learn from you, learn about what you do on that platform. And then they'll look at your other ones and like find you from there. So I do think it's important, but I don't think it's at a place right now where it is trending upwards, where it's a place where you're going to go to necessarily find new things. I think that if you're like, oh, what's the new things that are going on in society are cool, I think that's a place like TikTok.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, for people that are still really trying to grow on it, I think it's the same thing, posting consistently, using the new features that they come out with right now. That's like Reels, like being really consistent on Reels, using a variety of the different features on every platform. They're going to prioritize the people that use all the features.
Yep.
Because they want people to come in and use those features, because that's how they're making money, is by getting people to do more on the platform and stay on it more. And so the more that you're using a different variety of things, the more you're going to get prioritized by their platform on the back end. So like on Instagram, that's like making sure you're interactive in stories, posting a variety of different stories, using the different features in their stories, like comments or like asking questions or like links, like that kind of shit. It's like using Reels, using carousels, posting native video, going live, all of as many of the different features as you can use, that'll get you to be prioritized more. And then I think on the same line, it's like having a niche that you're focused on, or if you're a couple of different niches, just staying consistent with whatever content you're posting so the audience knows what your page is about. And then just like really rinse and repeat, like post, see what people are liking in the comments, engage with them, post the next day, try and make it a little bit better, engage with them, rinse and repeat.
Exactly. That makes complete sense.
But I will say though, Instagram is harder to grow on right now. It's not as quick. If you can get into the Reels algorithm and it picks you up, I have seen people that are like really growing. I've also seen people that are not growing at all and have been doing the Reels consistently, and it just hasn't hit for them. So I think it's kind of like I don't want to say it's necessarily luck. I feel like it's just kind of, it's working for some people. It's not working for others. Mm-hmm. And, good for the people that it's working for. And I think for the people that aren't getting the traction that they want, I think that there is other places that you should check out, like something like TikTok or even like YouTube shorts. It's like, try it out in another place and see if like you're getting the reciprocation from another platform.
Yeah, absolutely. When brands first reach out to you and they want to, since they're startups, I'm assuming they want to get started with their social media presence. Is that a right assumption?
So
Or
the
do they
companies
want to
that I work
grow?
with, I would say it's not in like, and the sweet spot I would say that I'm working with is not like they literally just started. It's more like they've probably raised a little bit of money by now. So they've got the wheels are going, they're making money, they're doing well. They've like got a little bit of traction on social media, and like they're probably like at the point where they're starting to be relevant in the people that are like really in the scene in Los Angeles. A lot of them are health and wellness. So in the health and wellness scene. And then that's where they come to me as like, cool, we want to like turn up the heat on this a little bit, get on a TikTok. We've done Instagram, and that's where they're at.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So my
Yeah.
question then would be, how do you evaluate where they should be and what they should do?
It's a good question. Dude, I look at companies and I'm like, do I think that this is something that has potential to be really cool? If it's not something that has the potential to be really cool, and what I deem as cool is like could I see a lot of my friends or fellow colleagues or friends that I know in other cities using this brand as a consumer, like buying it and using it. And so that's like the first thing I look at. And in that, typically it's like there's a couple of things that I look at for each brand. It's like the branding, so like the look of the brand. It's like the affordability, so like the price point. It's the actual like quality of it. So like if that's a food thing, it's like how does this taste? Or if it's like apparel, it's like how does it feel? And then the last thing is like, is it better for you? Like is the quality of it better for the environment? Is it better for you as in your body? If it's food, is it better for you as a product to wear? Like, so those are the kind of things that I look at. If they pass like all of those tests, then I'm like, cool. Is it easy to create content around? That's probably like the most important thing for that I think for companies right now when they're thinking about building out their products is like, if I were starting a brand right now, I would go, can I make videos around this? And will it be easy for other people to make videos around this? And that would be like literally how I make a product. After that, it would be like, cool. Now let's make sure this is really quality ingredients. It's better for the planet. It's like sustainable, and it's like at a good price point. But like if you have all of those and they can make content around it, like you have a very good chance of it being a home run. And so if I find a company that's like that and they come to me and they're like, hey, we have this and this and this and this, and like we want to start making content around it, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, we could easily make content around that, then it's like, oh, I'm super stoked to work with this company. Like I feel like I could do a really good job. I literally do feel like any company can make content around their products though. Any company, especially because on TikTok, it really is more of like an authentic, tell us your story, show us how you make the product. Like it's a little bit more heartfelt. So it doesn't need to look as like trendy as it does on Instagram typically. So, but that's where I would say that I kind of like look into it and be like, is this something that I can help, or is this something that it's probably better for someone else?
Yeah. I love that. I love that process. Marketability, shareability, the ability to get people excited and show their friends and eventually convert is huge. And that's huge when it comes to making products and advertising products. So it's good that you're looking at things like that. And I think it's super important, the fact that you said organically. You're helping these companies organically get on social media and grow on social media. Do you know how fast I skip ads on TikTok? The millisecond I see it says ad on the bottom or sponsored, I'm gone. And I've been caught watching like a 1 minute TikTok video that at the end I realized was an ad. And keep in mind, I've been in the marketing space for over 10 years.
That's a great ad.
That's a great ad.
That's exactly what, bro, I literally could not be more on the same page as you. And I'm even like, I balance the back end of being like an agency owner who does all of like the business side for the companies. Mm-hmm. I balance that with being an influencer creator myself, who's actually working with these companies as a creator. And every time that I work with the brands as a creator, I am always telling them the number one thing we want out of this is not for it to feel like an ad. Mm-hmm. Like we want this to come off as natural and as organic. And if the people walk away from this and they don't know it's an ad, that means that we've done it successfully. Obviously, like there is, guidelines that you have to like mention certain things, but like that's what you want. Like you want them, if people know it's an ad, they're going to scroll. or they're going to think that they're being sold to, and they're going to watch the video with a little bit of skepticism, and like, it's just not as organic. So I completely agree.
Yeah. You automatically put up walls as soon as you hear someone saying, "Thank you for ordering this bottle for only $19.99." You're just going to skip that. And
or you got to be clear. You got to be super clear with like your channel and be like, look, like, I am going to be selling you guys shit that I think you guys are really going to enjoy, but these are all ads. Like, I'm going to be putting things out. And I think that some bloggers that are like product focused do a really good job of that, of like, guys, these are things that I think you're all going to love. You're coming to me for this. You know, you're coming to me for these products. And so I am endorsing them for you. I think it's the context.
Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
Yeah, I would say I'm not as consistent, but I do when I'm like driving and stuff, I'll pop some stuff on.
Me too. So listening to some podcasts, you identify a pattern, and whether it's in the beginning, middle, or end, or somewhere in between, all of a sudden it cuts to a commercial, or it cuts to, "This video was brought to you by," and then they start talking about their thing. 90% of the time I'll skip it. Somebody who I'd never skip is actually Chris D'Elia. So in his podcast, it's so funny because he makes a point for you to know that this is an ad and he's getting paid for it. He plays the ching at the end of it. Like, he just says like, "Back up the Brinks truck. We're getting paid for this. Listen to this ad." Yeah. And it's built this like cult-like mentality over the fact that, hell yeah, he's getting paid. Let's all listen to this and run it up.
Yep.
And it makes you want to listen to the ad. He does it so entertainingly.
Dude, it literally is like it again. What I think the audience doesn't like is like people trying to pull a fast one on them.
Yeah.
And so if people's bullshit radar is like at an all-time high. Yep. They can sense shit. Like, they understand. They're like, I'm not dealing with this. Mm-hmm. So what I really do think that it's actually a very smart tactic to be like, "What up, guys? Guess what? This is an ad, but you guys are gonna like it. So check this out." And and I actually really do like this product. Yeah, I'm getting paid for this. I'm cashing out on it. Makes sense to me. Yeah. I would listen to it. I'd be like, dude, I want to know more about this. Like, maybe I will even check this product out, rather than if you're like, "So you know what, guys, like, you guys should really check this product out. And right now the promo code is
Yeah.
But they don't, there's no context. You're like, dude, come on.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And I think it's important for content creators to hear that. I'll show you my DMs later. Maybe after this, I'll show you how insane it is in my niche, where I'm getting DMs every single hour of garbage ass products and just horrible crypto projects.
Are they NFT projects?
Oh yeah. Oh dude.
Every day I probably have 30 NFT projects in
all of them. Yeah. And I ignore like 99% of them. There's a couple I've done. There's a couple I actually like. They're sick.
Wow.
And those ones, the ones that I actually like, the audience they're accepting of it. They're saying, "Oh, that one's actually pretty cool. You're right." But then if I talked about like any of the other crap, I would just get canceled from TikTok. It's just so bad. Yep. And I think it's important for other content creators to hear this, because I'm actively talking to a lot of content creators every single day about different opportunities and stuff like that. And they are getting the same things, but a lot of them are falling into this trap of just keep taking all these projects, and then their entire page and brand is now revolved around all the garbage products that they're advertising, and they're forgetting about the core content that they're creating, and it's just going downhill, and they're just trying to cash out, and they're going to stop getting paid eventually because no one's going to watch this stuff.
I think even the first time that you decide to monetize your audience is the time that they start losing trust in you. And I think that it is done it does depend on the way that you do it in, like, the context. Like, for example, the way that you just mentioned Chris D'Elia does, he's not losing trust from anybody because he's being so transparent about it that, like, people are like, "Oh, he's doing an ad. He told us he's doing an ad, so I'm not blindsided." So I think that, like, a lot of people try to go the other way, where they are getting paid and they're not telling anybody about it, and they don't want people to know it's an ad, and they kind of try to pull a fast one on you. And I think that that's where people notice it and are like, oh, I don't trust what this person says now. So then what ends up happening is with your organic content, when you start posting your organic content, people aren't going to trust your organic stuff because they're like, oh, this is the same dude that just sold me that course that like was a joke. And now he's talking about this next thing that I'm going to think is some sort of a scheme as well. And so I do think that like the biggest thing for any brand, including creators, is trust. It is trust with your audience. And so like building that trust with your audience is just not something that you want to break. And I think a lot of people get blindsided by seeing dollar signs and they're like, they get blinded by dollar signs and they're like, I want that cash out. And then they don't realize that that's a very slippery slope to losing your audience's trust and not being able to cash out ever again.
Yeah. One topic I did want to dive into, since you just said the word audience, it reminded me. How strong of an audience do you think you can have on somewhere like TikTok versus another platform, for example, YouTube? And I'll give you some context here. My audience on TikTok is all over the place. I can make a video. I have about 156,000 or so followers on TikTok. I can make a video that'll get 1,000 views. And then just a couple weeks ago, I had a video hit 1.3 million views, right? So it's just inconsistent, the view to audience ratio. But even that, if I make a successful video, a good video, I'm not seeing a consistent audience or a fan base that keep tuning in to see the videos compared to what I see on YouTube. There's about 1,000 or so people who love every single video I put out on YouTube. And they're always there and they're always watching. But you don't see that on TikTok. So when it comes to building a brand for yourself and an audience for yourself, how do you feel about TikTok's current landscape?
I feel like YouTube, like we were just talking about this before, I feel like YouTube is the deepest audience that you can build because it's the longest. I feel like, so if we look at like every platform, I think that the ones that are video have a leg up on the ones that are just a single sense. Well, I don't know what the right word is, but like for Twitter, it's literally just text, you know, and for podcasts, it's just audio. And so I think that you're missing out on the other sensory, I don't know what the word you're missing out on the other senses that you can be able to engage with. And so I don't think you can go as deep as you can with something that is a video platform in itself. So that's why I think TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, you can go deeper with the audiences on those. But saying that, YouTube's audience is already kind of trained to know that they're going into something that's longer. They're going into the video knowing that they're going to prepare to watch 5 to 7 to sometimes, 20, 30-minute videos. Whereas on TikTok, I'll even use TikTok as an example because it's even more extreme than Instagram. TikTok is so conditioned to be quick hit, very quick. You get what you need immediately and then you're out. And so I think that you can only go so deep with your audience on TikTok in the content that you're posting. Yeah, you can do lives where they're sitting with you and they're like, engaging longer. But like on the actual For You page, you can only go so deep. So I do think that YouTube is by far and away the most impactful audience that you can have. Like they're getting to know you as a person. They're getting to know you on a much deeper level.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So tell me about your TikTok house. What's that all about?
Yeah. It's not happening anymore. We did it in a seasonal format. So basically like anybody that grew up watching MTV Real World and knew what that is, we kind of took that model and we're like, let's do this on TikTok during the pandemic. So we put 10 adults, couples, 5 couples in a house together for 30 days. And basically we're going to film. We actually were like, we're just going to throw things at the wall to start with. We're going to film a bunch of different things. I had my own platform already. I was probably at like 75, 80,000 followers on my own channel. I was really the only creator in the house that had been on TikTok. Everybody else had just been consumers watching it at home during the pandemic. But I was like, I feel like we could do this. I know some different ideas we could try out. So we just were like, let's try out different ones. We ended up landing on one that was like challenges, and it was like real world style challenges. It was almost like quarantine Olympic style challenges. Just household objects, like literally who can slide the farthest on wood floors with socks on, like thing that. And we would film them and put them on the channel. And after like 13, it took us like 2 weeks of like us just having 1,000 followers. And we were honestly like, all right, this is going to be a failed project, but at least we get to live in this house together for a month and have fun during the pandemic that's going on. And it was like day 13 that one of our videos started to work a little bit. It got us to like 9,000 followers. And then the second video that like really took off got us from like 9 to like 27. And then we just started like cruising 27, 70, 140. And we ended up going from zero to, in the first season, in 30 days, we went from 0 to 500,000. And then we actually had to leave the house because it was an Airbnb that got rented out after us. So we had to leave. We were like, we're like crushing it. We're in the middle of our shit, just like on fire. And it was literally like 3 days before we left the house, we were posted on Barstool and Yahoo and like all these CNET, like all of these just like different sites that just like threw us up. And so we were like on fire and we were like, we have to leave this house. And so we ended up just like taking 2 weeks or we ended up taking a month and like regrouping and just like reposting old content. And then we went back into another house for a second season. And in that second season, we went from 500,000 to 1 million. We didn't post any content for like 2 or 3 weeks. We didn't lose any followers. We didn't lose any traction. And literally the first day back, our first video that we posted got like 22 million views. We were like, this is insane. We were so surprised. And so the second season got us to 1 million. And then, like I was saying, after that season ended end of December. And in January, it was literally like January 1, I opened up my email and I had like boom, 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 all of these emails from old friends that I had being like, hey, my company needs to get on TikTok. We see what you're doing with Honey House. Can you teach us? And then that's what I do now.
There you go. I love that. What
it was crazy
moving forward with that account?
So now that account is literally just sitting idly. It's at 1 million. It's at 1 million still. It hasn't really like lost a ton of followers, and we haven't posted content on it in probably like 6 or 7 months now. And we've been lightly trying to shop it around and see if anybody wants to buy it and like really go hard on it. Cause we're like, it's just sitting there. It had great interaction and like a really built-in audience. If anybody wanted to like take it over, that was a similar page. And other than that, we're just kind of like, or we don't sell it and we just kind of like hold on to it. And if we decide to do something again in a year and a half and we're like, let's run it back, then we'll just go and do it again.
Yeah. If you could figure out a way to get some brands involved and monetize it, make the math
work.
That
was kind of what we were like, it's just the hard thing is people don't understand how hard it is to run a content house. Like this is why literally all of these houses are failing. Hype House, Sway House, Clubhouse, like every one of these houses, they end up falling apart because the model of, and we did it differently, which is the only way that I think it actually can succeed. The typical model of doing it is bring in massive influencers into one space. They can all create together and then they build this house up. But what ends up happening is if you bring in even smaller creators, as they start to grow, they get bigger than the house. And so then they're like, it doesn't make sense for me to do a video where I'm splitting it 5 ways when my audience is bigger than the house's audience. And so the power dynamics just end up shifting and it just ends up not being worth it for the creators. So then they split and then the house ends up bringing in new creators and then they end up growing and then they split and it just kind of like cycles. Whereas the model that we did it was, we're not going to bring any creators in that are massive. We're literally going to bring in people as if they were off the street talent, like casted. We're going to just build this house up and everybody chips in at the house one and we'll pay all of the talent as if they were literally like actors, like their talent in the video. And we'll pay them whatever they want to get paid so that they're happy right off the bat. And then any brand stuff that we work with, we'll take and we'll just have to make our money back that way. And I think that that's the way that the house model could work. I don't think that other people are really doing it that way right now, other than like actual TV shows or reality shows. But that's kind of the way that that's the only way that it can work for like a long-term project to like go on. And so, we thought about like bringing in brands and doing it again and like really, really doing it up, but it's just like, it's a lot, bro. Like you're managing people. Yeah. And especially when you're managing, especially friends too, like you're managing people and their emotions and their things that are going on in their own lives. You're managing content, which is like on TikTok, such an output. We were trying to post 5 videos a day. Jeez. You're posting 5 videos a day. That's ideas, then setting up for it, shooting it, editing it, posting it for 5 a day. It's just like, dude, it's a lot. Like it definitely bred me for what I'm doing now. It was like, that was my crash course into now. It's like, now I have 10 brands that are posting every day. I'm like, this is easy. Like, you guys do. But like in the house, it's a lot to manage.
Yeah. I used to be a producer at a video production company, and we would make commercials for TV and social.
Yep.
And, I had to manage the pre-production, production, and post-production of different brands and projects. And the added element of people living in a house is literally my worst nightmare. What are they going to eat? When do they have to wait? What's the schedule?
Yeah.
Is this person mad at this person right now? What are they going to wear?
And all of those dynamics played into it.
Yeah.
And it was just me and my one of my best friends, my business partner, Nick. And so it was literally just us managing all of this. We don't have PA, we didn't have assistants, we didn't have like anything like that.
Yeah. Sell it. That's get rid of that page. That sounds like a nightmare, but it does sound like a lot of fun. I like your seasonal approach to it as well. So you're not constantly managing this thing.
Totally. It was, dude, it was like, it was both ends of the spectrum. It was like the second season was one of the most challenging. Like, that's probably a little bit of exaggeration. It was very challenging though, because the second season was, we upped it of like the budget that we were putting into it that we needed to make back. And so it was more of a business. And so inherently, when it's more of a business thing, rather than season one, we're like having fun. It's like, we're all friends. We're like throwing stuff at the wall. We don't know if it's going to work or not. Season two was like, we took out a loan. We know what we need to pay back. This needs to work. So it's more stress, more like added kind of pressure. So season two was a lot more of that, but season two was also an amazing group of people. So it was like very fun, very like close group of friends. So it was like all of the emotions, like the whole house was literally just like a ball of emotion. So yeah, it was a great experience. Experience.
I bet it was a crash course experience of what you would learn in years of being a producer at an agency.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Bringing it back to potentially my audience here listening to this. So I listen to podcasts all the time, and sometimes you hear stories like this, what you just said, awesome story, crazy experience, but then it can actually sometimes start feeling less and less relatable. I was just thinking about our conversation right now. I'm like, how crazy is that? You got a house on Airbnb, you and your friend, and then you got actors, and now you're trying to figure out all this stuff, and you're cranking out 5 videos a day. How do you have time? How do you get started? I'm trying to think of somebody listening to this right now saying, I have an idea. I want to do something. And then they have a job. Like, how are they supposed to do anything? And then it can be so overwhelming. What kind of person do you have to be? How do you even get that motivation to want to do something that you're so interested in trying? You don't even know if it was going to work.
Yeah, I think, and I want to just be clear on it. The question is, how do you even get started on doing something like that kind of a project? Or is it, how do you just get started with your own thing?
Anything.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like, I always get really excited about things that bring people together. Let me just even context a little bit more. Bring good people together and have an impact in a way in cultural relevancy. So in society, in a way that kind of comes off as like, this is cool, but is also good vibes. And so I think that that's kind of like intertwined into like all the different projects that I've done. It's like, I want to do cool things with good people, and I want to make them like impactful. Like, I want people to be like, oh shit, that was dope. And so I think that like when this idea came to us, we were like, all right, this is something that we want to run with. And like both of us were like, all right, we know it's going to be a lot, but we're willing to do it. And I think that kind of like tenacity is what everybody has to have, because in order to do anything, I mean, like literally anything, not just like big, massive projects, in order to do anything where you are the person that is executing on it, that is getting it done, you have to have tenacity to see it through. You have to be like, all right, I know there's going to be some days that aren't going to be fun, or I know that there's going to be things that are going to be work that I maybe typically wouldn't do. But like, I see that end picture. I know like what I want the outcome to be. So I'm willing to go through that. And I think like, that's something that I am like naturally grateful to be born with, that like, if I know that I want to do something, like I know I'm going to do it. And I know that there's going to be like times that are just tough with it, but I'm going to do it. And so I think that that's like, I think that that's what everybody has to have if they want to see something all the way through.
Yeah. I agree. You think you were born with it?
I do. Yeah. I think I was born with it. I think that I was born with it. And I think that obviously I think that like my youth and stuff shaped me a little bit
Mm-hmm.
with that. But I think like knowing my mom was a personal trainer. My dad was a professional athlete turned business executive, that I think I get a lot of both of their traits in that. I think I'm a little bit more like free spirited than both my parents were, and I think that plays into it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think a lot of it was born.
Yeah. A lot of that preconditioning to be able to adapt to your environment and really just go after what you want to get after. And you mentioned you were in hockey. Even that, as at an early age, starts to condition you and force you to keep moving forward and keep skating and keep going and try to get that goal. And sometimes you're going to miss, and sometimes you're going to get it. And being conditioned in that environment, being an athlete, especially growing up in that environment that you did, it makes sense. So everything you said completely makes sense. And
yeah, and I think I take a lot of it from hockey.
mm-hmm.
I feel like I am still playing sports with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yeah, like the physical aspect of it, I am not doing as much of because I'm not on the ice every day. But the way that I prepared for sports, the way that I looked at like the strategy of, okay, how am I going to make this team or get on a different line or score a goal in this game? Like all of the ways that I'm doing all that stuff is the same way that I was like, all right, we're going to put together a TikTok house for adults. We have $0 to do this. How are we going to do it? It's the same kind of like mechanisms that I'm using. So I feel like I'm playing sports, and I do 100% agree with you and feel like my athletics background
Mm-hmm.
has given me a shit ton of like the drive and the like will that is required in some of the things that I'm doing that I think a lot of people that don't have that background probably wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, I resonate with that. I grew up practicing martial arts, so taekwondo, karate, and jiu-jitsu for almost half my life. And that has given me the discipline or the ability to remain calm. And I was just going to ask you, do you ever get pissed when you put out a piece of content and it doesn't do well?
Dude, I wouldn't say pissed. Like if you're talking about if I ever put out content and it doesn't work, no, I don't. I would say like before, I mean, dude, for everybody, unless you're like really born and you're just a very special human being, everybody is born with insecurities and like things that they're not happy about. And so I think when I first started putting out more of my business content, there was like an initial wave of like, shit, like I haven't really like talked into the camera. And I also have all of these hockey guys that literally could care less about TikTok and probably look at it as like I'm stupid that I'm putting out content about something like TikTok. And so there was definitely like an initial like, all right, how do I feel with this? And if content doesn't work, then it's like, do I do that? Do I keep doing this? But I honestly will say, like, I actually think that I went pretty quickly through that phase because of going through it with Honey House, which is a TikTok house, of going through it with that and being like, I'm going to start this. And I know that people are going to think that it's crazy, but I believe it. And because I believe it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to see where it goes. And then having that success with it, I literally have videos saved of me posting on my Instagram story when we hit 10,000 followers on TikTok, being like, we made it. Like this project was a massive success for me. I'm going to keep doing and following my heart and my gut because I know that I can do it. And then we hit 1 million in 2 months later. And so having that kind of project, I think really lended well for me with my own content of being like, cool, now I have like some sort of reputation that I know I can lend well to what I'm doing now. And so I'm going for it. And like, if it flops, it flops. It doesn't mean anything on me. It's just the way that the video is, that I don't control the algorithm. And so I would say like, I don't get angry. I get like, it almost like, I would say fuels me more to be like, what's the next thing we're going to do? Like,
yeah.
Cool. What's next?
Because you know it can work and you've seen it and luckily you've been through it. There's some people who haven't been through it, but you have that ability to say, we can take this from here and go all the way. Yep. And it all comes down to how I see it. Chemicals in your brain, honestly. TikTok is so genius in their way of cranking out little bits of dopamine and serotonin and getting you a little bit excited to want to keep on creating. And then you keep on creating for them and getting people to stay on the app and consume content. And then all of a sudden that dopamine and that serotonin start going down, your views start going down, and you're like, hey, what's going on? Like, is it me? Do I suck? Do these videos suck? And then all of a sudden it goes back into that cycle. Oh, we just got a couple thousand, 10,000, a million views. We're back up, all that dopamine and serotonin back in your head. And it's this constant cycle of just trying to get more and more of that dopamine and that serotonin, and it gets people going and going. Once you have mastery of that, mastery and understanding of how that works, you're able to separate yourself from that and look way further than that cycle and just create content for the art of creating content. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You provide
even better than that, you're able to create content to genuinely try to connect with people on the other side of it. And so at that point, it's like, even if you're getting 50 views, you're like, if I was in a room with 50 people right now, that would be more people than I've ever spoken to in my life. And so I feel great with 50 views. I would love to have 5,000, but I'm not upset about this 50 because I'm not doing it for something like you were saying, which is just pure dopamine of getting that satisfaction of getting a million.
Yeah.
And I think that's why my foundation of everything is actually wellness. And because that is what lets me be so good at business and so good in the content that I'm creating, is because I've went through and worked through and work on all the stuff with myself of taking care of myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything, so that I am in a good place to know, like, you just get clear. I'm clear on what I'm doing. I know the people that I'm talking to. I know that if this video doesn't work, it's not the fact that I am insignificant or that I am not good enough to be a content creator. It's the fact that it might be a right place, right time thing. It might be something with the algorithm today. You never know, but it doesn't reflect on me. And that only comes with people that are able to be a little bit self-aware and be able to look at themselves and be like, why am I doing this? What is the reason I want to get into this? And is it from a good place that is like fulfilling, or is it from a place of lack where I'm like, this is going to fill? So, I think that wellness is kind of like the origin of like how everything kind of like circles around me. And I think that that's like a good place to stem from.
That's awesome. I completely agree with that. And what's even cooler about that is you can apply that to anything. We're not talking about content creation. We're talking about just the philosophy of success at this point. And I think it's really interesting how applicable that is to literally anything you want to do ever. I love that.
Bro. Completely agree.
Yeah.
It's also why I feel now less scared to do other things, because I'm like, okay, I have this like foundation of myself. I feel good and like, cool. There's an initial part where I'm not going to understand anything. I have to learn it. Once I learn it, you understand things, and then you can kind of execute on it. And it's like, cool. Like this is literally why I'm interested now in finance. I literally was never into finance before. I got to a place where I was started to feel more secure with myself, with taking care of my finances, with me and earning finances and earning income over the last 24 months. And I'm like, oh, that was the reason why I was so like not wanting to look into it or talk about it or like have conversations, was just shit with me. And like, now that I don't have that with myself, now I'm actually more interested in it. Now I want to know about it. I don't know how to execute on it. And so now it's something that I want to get into. And it's like, yeah, it is everything ties back into your relationship with yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And even when it comes down to finances too, it's really about managing expectations, emotions, and your ability to continue moving forward through adversity.
Yep.
100%. Do you have any questions about investing or finances while we're here?
I might actually take you up on that after. Yeah,
of course, man. You're in LA, right?
I do. Yeah, I'm in LA.
Me too. My wife and I moved to downtown LA after living in West Hollywood for a year, and then immediately regretted it. Downtown LA is crazy out here, so we're moving back to to Beverly Hills area.
Very cool.
In a couple of months, so we should grab some coffee sometime and talk about some finances.
We absolutely will. Absolutely will.
I like it. We've been talking for about an hour, Is there anything you think we haven't covered? Is there anything that you think you want to get off your chest while we're here?
No, dude. I mean, like I would say the thesis that I am trying to get across through all of my different mediums is, regardless of what your interests are, hobbies are, passions are, regardless of where you're at, what job you're working right now, you can start right now and build a business and a lifestyle and a career out of creating content around the things that you love. And there's never ever been a time like there is right now in society, in technology, where that has been more of a realistic option than now. And so if there's one thing that I'm trying to do is encourage people, like, do the work to both, it is both personal work and like tech work of learning how to create, but do that work to just try and put yourself out there in whatever way feels most comfortable, because it's never been a more of an opportune time to do it. And you can make a significant lifestyle around the things that you're actually passionate about.
I'm just going to end the video right here.
Awesome.
That's it. That's that.